this is Sai Kumar Kortiwada. In this video, we will learn how to use a viewchild decorator over another Angular components. So whenever you are using a parent-child relation, then how can we use this viewchild decorator to access that child components? I have explained about viewchild decorator on the native elements of HTML in my previous video. Please watch that for better understanding. And let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code. Here I have created Angular components, that is app component, and in this app component I wrote one heading view child with components, and already I am running this server. So go here and you can see view child with components. So now what I will do is just I'll try to create one component. So let me create a Angular component that is nothing but a child component. Let me go to the another terminal. Let me go into another terminal and create Angular component by using ngGenerate CLI command. ngGenerate component, and let me give a child component and hit enter. So now it will be creating a child component and it updated my app module so that I can access this child component anywhere in my application. So let me go to child.ts, and inside this child.ts I have a selector. Let me copy this and let me inject onto my HTML of a parent, that is app component. So app child, and let me save this and go here. So you can see child works. Where it is coming from? It is coming from child.component.html. Whenever we are using a CLI command, the component name appended with works will be added into our HTML and it will be created. So let me clear all this. Now the case is you have something called as a variable in your child component. In my previous videos I have explained how to pass the data from your parent to your child. In this case we will access the child and we will assign some values to the variables of the child. How we can do that? Let me go to child component.ts and let me create one title variable, and this title variable is of type string and it is having a default value as empty. Now what my concern is, I want to display this title on my component, that is child component.html, and create one paragraph where I want to show some title which is interpolated again like this and save. So now your title is not visible here. Why? Because the default value is empty. Let me make it as default value something like child and save this. So here let me go to the terminal and it was successfully compiled and you can see something called as child. Now the case is how you can access this child component and you can change the value of the particular variables or particular values from the parent itself without passing the data. That means here we are not using any input decorator. Instead we'll try to access this child component in our parent component. How to access that? To access that, we already discussed in the previous video, we need to have one hash variable. Let me create one hash variable. Hash child ref is my hash, and now whenever I'm calling this child ref in my TS, we can use something called as viewchild. So at the rate viewchild. Viewchild is simple like document.getElement by id, but here the viewchild is focusing on Angular standards. And now let me pass this child ref, which is a hash variable, and let me create one name or a variable to access in my component, that is nothing but child ref. I am giving the same name, and I always recommend to go with the same hash variable name so that there will be a sync and no need to think more about the variables. So let me give not and colon and then element ref. That is, that element ref is pointing to your child component. So you can give child component as well because it is the reference of this child component. Till now we are able to access this child ref, but how to change the value? For that sake, let me create one button in my parent component and change child component value. So this is my button name, and let me use a click event and create one handler. So change child title is my handler. Let me copy this handler and create in my TS file. So let me go to the TS and create here, and whenever this handler or this button click happens, then I want to change the child reference. So let me change that by using this dot child ref dot. Whenever you hit dot, whatever the properties which are defined in my child.ts are visible in my reference. So again let me hit dot and you can see the title. Let me give the title as updated from parent component. and let me give semicolon, save this and go to the HTML and save this. So let me go to the browser. Here a button has been created. When I click this, I'm trying to change this title. Let's see that. When I click on this change child component value, then I'm able to change the value that is updated from parent component. So now in this case it has been worked and we are able to access the variables which are defined in our child component, and we are able to change the values at any time without any input decorator. In this case we are not using any input decorator. So that is the reason you cannot use one life cycle, that is ng on changes. If you are trying to use ng on changes, that will never be invoked in your child component, because we are accessing the data and we are accessing the component from our parent and updating the title. So that is the reason you will not use ng on changes life cycle. So let me go back, and for example, if you want to access some methods which are defined in this child component example, so I'm using something called as change title is a method. So here also what I'm doing is I'm passing this dot title is equal to, I'll pass some variable inside this method. So let me pass title input, which is of string type, and now let me assign this title input to this. Because in my previous strategy I'm directly assigning the value to the title. Instead now what I'm doing is I'm trying to use a method that is nothing but a change title, and for that change title I'm trying to pass some value. That value will be updated to your title. So let me create one more button here. So button, and this time I'll use access child methods. Let me create one click event and let me use a handler that is nothing but access child method is my handler. And let me save this and copy this access child method, go to your app.component.ts and create that method. Inside this method what I'll do is this dot child ref dot, whenever you are giving a dot then you can see that change title method. So this is a method and you can pass some value to this. So I'm using I am able to access the child method. This is my title which I am passing. Now whenever I click on this access child method button, then that will be calling this particular handler of app component which is calling a change title of my child ref, and it is trying to update my title. Let me go back and reload. So when you click on this, this is calling a title property directly by using the child reference. Let me click on this. It has been updated, and whenever you are clicking access child methods, then also it is trying to call. Let me click on this. I am able to access the child methods. So in both the ways, that means you are able to access the properties, you are able to access the methods of a particular class which is nothing but a component, and you can access all of them by using @viewchild. For example, let me go with the weird or protective scenario. For example, you have something called as private variable of child, and let me save this. If you are using a private variable, then you are not able to access that in your HTML. So that is the first problem which we are facing. And also if you go to the component.ts, you are not able to access the title variable. That means whenever you are using a private variables, that private variables cannot be accessed by using viewchild references. So this is a note point which we need to remember. So let me revert back in my child.ts. Let me revert back and save this. Now it has been successfully passed. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to give a private access specifier to my child component.ts. And if you go to app.component.ts, it is showing an error. Property change title is private and only accessible within the class of child component. That means whatever the private methods you are using, they cannot be accessed in your parent. Please make sure not to use a private variables whenever you want to expose that particular methods to the other components. This will give error only whenever you are giving or pointing your reference to a particular class that is nothing but a child component. For example, if you give any and if you give private variable here, you will not have any problem actually speaking. Why? Because you are giving any. So that is, it is treating this change title is already existing in that component, because that component you are not specifying. And let me go here and go to the console, inspect, and let me clear it off and click on this access child. It is updating because the title variable is public, and whenever I click on the access child methods, then I am able to access the child methods. So you are able to access that child methods, but you will not get any intelligence, and also you will not have the control of the child component whenever you are using any. Always give the type for that, so that whatever you are writing, it will be as per the standards of Angular. And let me go here and remove this private and save this. And in the upcoming video, we will try to access a different children. That means whenever you are having a lot of hash variables with the same name, here we are using only one child ref. If you are having two or three child ref with the same hash variable, then how to access them and what is the approach to access them. So for that sake, we will be going with @viewchildren. That is one more decorator given by Angular to access the same type of hash variables in the list format. So we'll see about it in the upcoming videos. Hope you like my explanation. If you like my video, like, share, subscribe to my channel for more updates. Signing off. Thank you. And also, I want to let you know about TechZet. TechZet is a platform on Medium where you can learn all the backend stuff. Mainly, it is focused on the Adobe Experience Management, Magento, as well as OSGI, along with the basics of Java. And you can see the Sling framework completely. So just have a click on the link below in the description and have a look on this Medium blog. If you like, please like, share, follow Medium blog.